Hey now, it's Brace for Impact, and I'm your host, Mike Gilbert, and I'm going solo on that ass, but it's still the same. We're talking Impact Wrestling. We got lots to talk about, actually. We got some turning point stuff. I want to talk about Alexander Hammerstone from MLW. I think he's kind of making some waves, and I meant to talk about him on Thursday night when I did my Impact recap show, and talk about whatever else is going on. There's not a ton of news. But the first thing I really want to get into, and I think we just need to get it out of the way, is CM Punk. So he was on his Cage Fury Fighting Championship show where he does it's a MMA show. It's on UFC Fight Pass, and he does the commentary there. And, John Morgan, who is his play-by-play guy, always kind of needles Punk and when Punk's in trouble, and kind of always does some teases for Punk. And I want to show you guys what happened there, just in case you didn't get a chance to see it. So we'll do the whole share screen gimmick here. So Wrestle Purists, of course, clipped it. They're pretty quick with this stuff. Take a listen to this.
Fantastic. We said it would be total nonstop action, and it has been total nonstop action. Now we bring in the CEO, Rob Haydock. Before we get started, have you been prepped on any potential CM Punk questions, or should we skip over those tonight?
Oh, yeah. Well, how are you guys going to make the fool today? Let's talk about the direct flight.
The guy needs a job, and you're sitting here breaking
Let's talk about
chops.
the direct flight to the moon that you're going to have to pay for. That's going to be pricey.
Hey, man, that guy deserves time. We've had some amazing performances on top. I was saying the only reason Kevin Peace didn't say December, I think, is because he knows, and we'll talk about it in a minute, that our card's full of December. Otherwise, he would fight next month.
Or maybe he just wants to enjoy Thanksgiving.
Thank God. Based on December 15th, thank God he said next year, because if I have to put Pattersuck versus Dawkins, and how about Cage Gill, him versus Tariq?
Goodness. Oh, wow.
I like that one, too. So a lot of exciting stuff going on tonight.
Oh, my goodness. 2024.
What about Bravo? Can we talk? Can we get Bravo on the card in December?
Bravo made the biggest impact tonight, no question about it. All right, let's talk about some big things we got coming up. CFFC Match Day. It kicked off earlier.
That's pretty interesting, right? John Morgan, clearly, he is from MMA Junkie, clearly making the tease that there's something going on between CM Punk and TNA Wrestling. The teases are out there. I honestly, at this point, don't know what to think. It's one of those things where I'm still going to be like, believe it when I see it. Like, it's still something that I just don't expect. But that was they clearly had a conversation about it, and I think it's clearly a possibility. And I know I keep saying the word clearly, but I mean, that's plain as day. CM Punk's in on that tease. Like, Morgan's not saying that without permission from CM Punk. He's not going to do that to his broadcast partner. They like to bust his balls and stuff like that, but CM Punk's not really a guy that likes to get his balls busted, especially in public. I get the feeling that was cleared through Punk, and he is good with it. He is okay with those teases. So you had total nonstop action tease, and then they closed the clip with talking Impact. And guys, I don't know what to think here. There's also been some more teases on the WWE side. From Seth Rollins, he just did an interview where the Pepsi logo was clearly in the camera, in the view of the camera. So, WWE went hard saying that they're not interested in CM Punk. But yet there's still teases every now and then, the Punk, and they haven't actually closed that door yet. And I think that Meltzer has reported that the door is not closed, but at this point they're just not interested. So could we see Punk take some dates with TNA while he waits for this WWE stuff to shake out? Maybe he can prove himself as a draw and prove that he can behave. I don't know. I think it's crazy. I think it's wild. I'm honestly not sure what to make of all of it, but I mean, that was plain as day. There's something going on between TNA and CM Punk, and we're going to continue to monitor it. I don't want to open every show with CM Punk, but goddamn, what am I supposed to do? Like, the guy is news. And I read you verbatim what Scott D'Amore said about it. Scott D'Amore would love to have CM Punk. He said that he's a great draw. He moved business for WWE and AEW, and that every time that Punk was in his locker room, Punk was nothing but respectful, and they would take him in. I mean, nobody's hiding anything at this point. And I think that was Punk's way of signaling to people that he is absolutely like that TNA is absolutely on the table for him. That's my opinion. I don't know that to be a fact. I don't know Punk, so I don't know exactly what it all means, but it kind of seems like it to me. So more to come on that. Now, the next story that I want to get into is Alexander Hammerstone. Probably next to Fatu, he would be my second favorite guy in MLW. So Sean Ross Sapp reported that Alexander Hammerstone had requested his release from MLW. That was on October 28th. Hammerstone confirmed it that he says, my time with MLW was 5 of the best years of my life and career. Very proud of what I and the company accomplished, and I wish them continued success. I've recently asked for my releases. I feel it's what's right for me at this time. Since that has all come out, there's been several reasons why he's asked for his release. One, it appears that there's just not enough dates there. And so there are rumors that he did not want to lose the MLW title to Alex Kane. I don't know that to be true. I think that's MLW kind of leaking, trying to bury Hammerstone a little bit. And both sides are playing a game at this point. MLW has told everybody that they are not releasing him. However, they have released 2 other guys. They released Lance Anoa'i, who is a member of the Anoa'i family, so the Roman Reigns lineage. And he has also released Juicy Finau, which Juicy Finau is just kind of like a local Bay Area guy. And they probably released him because he wasn't really a significant part of their show. But Hammerstone, they had actually built that company around Hammerstone for a while. And he was their top star. And it looks like they're kind of, they are, pulling back on him a little bit, and maybe it's because of all this is why, is because they know that he wants out. I think MLW, with their status in the pro wrestling space, and I hate saying that, I think they need to focus more, since they don't have a weekly television series. They're just taping monthly, and they're basically an indie. Honestly, I think that if a guy wants out of the contract, I think they should go ahead and do that. They don't have a TV deal. They're just doing monthly pay-per-views, and not even really monthly. A lot of times they take months at a time off. They did state that they were paying him all the dates that they didn't. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. They did state that they kept paying him no matter what, and that's fine. I couldn't imagine that the pay is very much. Let the guy go get an opportunity. He's been there for a long time. And I know that he has lots of time left on his deal. I think it's to the end of 2025. But what are you guys really doing, and what is your future? It's not looking too good for you guys. So in the meantime, if somebody wants to go find another opportunity, I think it's only right that you do that. And I think I know what opportunity he is wanting, and another reason why I brought it up. So if you scroll down Hammerstone's Twitter feed here, so he's talking, there's the dynasty right there. That's AEW, but look, I thought this was pretty interesting. That is one, him versus Josh Alexander. I find that to be incredibly interesting, and I like Hammerstone in TNA. I think TNA is a good landing spot for him. I think it's the perfect landing spot for him. I think the Hammerstone and TNA would mesh well. I think that his style would work well in TNA. He's a very charismatic guy. He's somewhat limited in the ring, which is why I just don't see AEW picking him up. I think he's a good promo, not a great promo. I think he's good in the ring, not great in the ring. And I don't think that he would. I think that 25 years ago, he's a great fit in WWE. And maybe he would be a good fit in WWE right now. But I think that he'd probably lose about 25 pounds the moment he got there, because we all know what he's doing to get those muscles, and you can still do that. You just can't do as much of it in WWE. You have to have a certain limit and certain level. So I think that AEW and Impact, they don't really have testing that they do there, and I think that he could take all the steroids he wants in those two companies. But WWE, he would have to take less of them. I'm sure he can get a therapeutic use exemption for testosterone replacement therapy, because as soon as he gets off of the sauce, his testosterone levels are going to drop, because that's just what happens, because you you're not going to be producing normal testosterone once you're done with that stuff. It kind of forever changes your endocrine system. So he would get on replacement therapy. So he'd still be in pretty good shape, but he's not going to be the big monster that he once was. He's probably going to be about 25 to 30 pounds lighter, which still puts him at about 225. So maybe he would work in WWE, but that one, I don't know. I don't think that AEW would take him. So if it were a prediction, if he does get released, and I think that he should get released, I think that MLW would be holding on to him out of spite to try to hold him up to that contract. But look, MLW is just spinning their wheels. I just don't see them ever being anything more than what they are. And so when a guy has an opportunity, they should just, do what's right for the guy. And just let him go somewhere else. And I think that the perfect place for him is TNA, and he would be put right in there in that main event picture, right there in that main event scene. And I think that's a great guy to have debut on Hard to Kill. Either open it up with him or something like that, or have him be one of the surprises. But and that would send a signal to the audience. Excuse me, send a signal to the audience, and send a signal to everybody else that we're in the game. We're ball players now. We got a hot prospect. Actually, he's like in his mid-30s. We got a really good talent here that hasn't been corrupted by WWE television, and we're in it to win it. We're in it to compete. So hold on, swig of coffee for the working man. Oh yeah, it's 10 a.m. on in Missouri, and I'm still drinking coffee because I have not been up for very long. My internal body clock never switched off of Hawaii time. So if you think about it, it's 5 a.m. Hawaii time, but 10 a.m. Missouri time. So I have to get that swig of coffee in. But yeah, those are the two stories that I wanted to talk about. Also, what I didn't talk about on Thursday night was Leon Slater got signed. I called it last week before they had started their UK tour. I said they need to sign this kid. This is the perfect kid for the TNA to sign. He's exactly the type of guy that early TNA, Jeff Jarrett and their scouting department would have brought in. Reminds me a lot of Amazing Red and AJ Styles and Chris Sabin and all those guys, and Frankie Kazarian, all those super innovative guys that in the early days of TNA that they were bringing in that got people excited before they decided to blow up their budget and just rely on aging mid 40 WWE cast-offs and WCW washouts. They were setting the world on fire and creating a whole new fan base with the likes of AJ, Joe, Frankie, Sabin, and Amazing Red, and the Flying Elvises, and all these other cats that were doing all Loki. He's right in that same vein. He's the perfect guy that the new TNA should be signing and that they should be focusing on. While I still think they need to get a couple big names to start the TNA fresh, to get some eyeballs, to get some attention. I think for every one big time WWE free agent, you need to sign 2 to 3 hot young prospects to bring in and to build that company around. And they did just that with Leon Slater. And then they had a gut check with two people on gut check. And they did a good job there too. Let me see. One was called Harley Hudson, and she looks great. Let me see if I can find Harley Hudson. So Harley Hudson looks great. And then they got this other guy, the European Beast, and he was actually on Turning Point last night on the pre-show, and he didn't really do much there, but he's like a big jacked up guy. Kind of reminds me a little bit in the same vein of, Hammerstone and Brian Cage, where he's not that tall, but he's super athletic. He can do all the flying moves. And he is a guy that is another guy that's kind of perfect for TNA. And why I like them signing these 3 prospects from the UK, I think that the UK, I think they should make UK like a priority market for them, like it was back in the days of TNA, because there was a time where they were probably the most popular company in that UK market, and they were going there several times a year. I think, instead of 1 tour a year, they should do 2 to 3 tours a year in the UK market, and have like a crop of UK talent already on their roster that they can help, with that, and Ospreay obviously would be would be the guy. Like that would be fantastic. But, you got, a lot of people are saying grizzled young vets. I don't really see much in those guys. I don't see them being any better than Subculture. And I'm like, you already kind of have Subculture, but look, that's a team they could go after, the grizzled young vets. There's obviously the 3 that they had just signed. You got Trent Seven out there. You got all these other UK talents. I think they could really, corner that market and go back there a few times a year and then get to a place where maybe they can do Wembley Arena again. I don't know how soon they could do, 8 to 10,000 like they were doing, but 3 to 4,000. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibilities, especially if you can land a guy like Ospreay. And honestly, and I'm going to get to the main event once we figure it all out. I think that is pretty far-fetched. I think that's a dream scenario right there. But it's another thing, like I said about Punk. It's not a probability, but it is a possibility. But I don't know the likelihood of it, and I'm not too sure that that's even going to be possible. So here, let's get an introduction to this guy Mike D, whom Impact just signed. He won Gut Check. We're gonna go to the Impact Twitter feed here. Okay, now let's look at the European Beast, the War Machine, Mike D.
The Belgian War Machine, Mike D.
Look at this bastard. I wonder how tall this guy is. But he looks to be about 230, 240, maybe 5'10", maybe 5'9", 5'10". Boom. Look at that tope. They remind me of Jake something right there. And then, boom, springs up just like Moose does. Hits the superplex. Oh, nope, angle slam from the top. Spanish fly. Go wrong. That's a guy that I think the company could get behind. And he is the exact type of guy that I think that they should really be building their company around. And I like the fact that they signed 3 more UK talents. I think the UK market is a great market for TNA, and as evidenced by the fact that it looked like they were either sold out or close to sold out every single night. I think they set up each night at in and around 1,000 seats. And Newcastle was on fire for Turning Point. And I really enjoyed Turning Point. I'm going to get the complaints out of the way. Production, very indie. But I knew that going in, so it didn't piss me off too much. But they got to clean that up when they go back to the UK. Hold on, swig of coffee. They really do need to clean up the production if they're going to go back into the UK in 2024. They need to show that market some dignity and really do their best. Okay, that is what it is. They did not do that this time around, but I think they will do that next time. Okay, at least I hope so. But the UK crowd was on fire. This Newcastle crowd was on fire. I think this is a crowd that they need to go back to. Book a bigger arena and do another tour out there coming up in 2024, which they have stated that they're going to do. But Turning Point, I actually watched the countdown to Turning Point because I knew they had just signed this guy, Mike D. So the first match was Grado and Rhino defeating Mike D and Ryan Richards. Not really much to the match. I would have liked to see them display Mike D a bit more considering they just signed him. They didn't really do much. Rhino won with the gore. Grado did some comedy stuff. I thought the match was fine, but not much to it. But the next match was the North Wrestling Championship. Leon Slater, the newest TNA signee, defeated Mark Haskins, who's a veteran. He's been around a long time. He had done some TNA work in the past. And I thought this match was tremendous. And I thought it was a great display of the type of talent that Impact or that TNA is about to bring in Leon Slater. I really fucking like this kid. I think he's got something. He reminds me of Will Ospreay from 2014 or 2015. I can't remember when he came out, but like it reminds me of year one Will Ospreay. When we saw Will Ospreay on the UK Indies before he got signed to New Japan, he has that in him. Super athletic. He's got some charisma to him too. Like the guy's got some swag to him. The guy can sell. He can work. He can do the flying moves. He's got great transitions. He's a little bit green, you can tell, but goddamn, he is good. I like Leon Slater. He's the future of this company. He is the perfect TNA signee. And I'm super excited that he's in, that I'm going to get to cover his work every week right here on Brace for Impact. So great job, TNA, for bringing in him. And then the actual premium event, Turning Point, opened up with Eric Young and Josh Alexander defeating Subculture. I didn't know what to make of this match going into it, but I thought this was a tremendous match. Huge TNA chants, like super loud, deafening TNA chants during this match. Eric Young might have been behind Ospreay, the most over guy on the tour, because look, TNA, like UK was a TNA stronghold. There were rumors at one point, and I know Jeremy Borash said this openly, that they should just move their entire operation to London and operate out of there and make that their home. They never did that, but like at one point they were considering it. And Eric Young is like, I honestly underestimated just how many of those old TNA fans are still around and how much they loved Eric Young. And boy, was this guy over. But Eric Young and Josh Alexander defeated Subculture. I really enjoyed this match. Great opener. Don't know that I'm a big fan of Subculture losing every night on the tour because I'm hoping that they're going to keep these guys around. But I really enjoyed the match. It was good stuff. Subculture, just because Eric Young was so popular, they were the heels in the match, and I found that to be very interesting considering they're from nearby Wales. So that was pretty cool, man. And then they had a video package highlighting Leon Slater signing with TNA Wrestling. That was a good stuff. And then we had Giselle Shaw versus Alex Windsor. Giselle Shaw gets the victory here. Man, this is the first time I'm ever seeing Alex Windsor. And I like her. I am like, why does she already work here? I feel like she's like, people are missing on her for some reason. And maybe there's something I don't know, but I'm like, she's got the look. Her work's tight. She hung in there with Shaw. And at points, I thought Giselle Shaw seemed to be a little bit off during the match and wasn't hitting her stuff the way that she normally does. But I thought this was a really good match. And Windsor was very, very good. I dug it, man. Good stuff. I think they need to bring Windsor back if they can. I don't know, I know all the stuff with Ospreay, but Alex Windsor, man, that is somebody, again, that's a perfect TNA signing if I ever saw one. I know it's probably more expensive to keep flying in UK talent into the States, but that's why I'm like, you got to work the UK more often, and then work Canada too. Like if you can, split, so, go to the UK a bit more often. They already have plenty of dates in Canada. Move some of the dates from Canada to the UK. I think we got something here. And then this Simon Miller guy, he's from What Culture Pro Wrestling. Joe Hendry. This was a damn good promo. I've never heard of this Simon Miller guy. I don't really watch any of the UK kind of talk shows about pro wrestling. I don't really follow the UK wrestling media. Maybe we just kind of stick to our own, I guess, but I've never really followed them. But I thought this was a heck of a promo. I was like, oh wow, this guy's got a gimmick. He's pretty good. And then next we go to Trey Miguel versus Rich Swann. Rich Swann gets the victory here. This was a good match. It's something that we've probably seen a few times on Impact before. Not much to it, just a really good pro wrestling match between two really good pro wrestlers. I do worry about Rich Swann. Brother's getting out of shape. I know he's a new dad, and I get it. Whenever I had my kid, I think I gained like 25 pounds, so I get it. But brother's a little skinny fat right now. He needs to tighten that shit up. He's a professional, so he's out there in his underwear. He needs to tighten up a little bit. And one of the knocks on him from his match with Kenny Omega that kind of derailed his career a little bit when it should have really elevated it was that it seemed like he couldn't hang with Omega, and it was true. Like he was gassed out like 10 minutes in. So I worry about him. I hope he's not resting on his laurels too much. But this was a really good match, so good for him. And then Danny Luna cut a promo on her upcoming match with Jordan Grace. She's a good promo. I like this Danny Luna kid. Man, a lot of great talent in the UK. A lot of great female talent in the UK. I think it's, I understand why WWE wanted to have, NXT UK. They screwed the pooch, but, I could see, UK talent becoming huge stars in America. And I think Americans are more open to it now more than they ever were before. And they're, great talents like Drew McIntyre and all these other cats that have really, really opened the doors for UK talents to be, seen on the level as American talents. I know it's like a weird, like nationalism that we have in our country, where and every country has it to where like they like to support their own more than they like to support outsiders. But I think, the world has gotten smaller because of social media and how we're all kind of more interconnected. And I think now is a good time as any for a UK talent to be the top star in a company, in an American company. So long as that American company goes to the UK more often, I think that's a good, I think that is a wise decision. So, but yeah, Danny Luna was great. And then Joe Hendry versus Simon Miller, not much to the match. Simon Miller, he's as a worker, he's fine. He's, he has the mechanics down. But Joe Hendry was so fucking over in this match. He is great. And I feel like he has not been fully embraced by a lot of the audiences that Impact goes to. Like sometimes they love him and sometimes they're just dead quiet for his stuff. But I thought that the video package that the song that he cut on Simon Miller before he got out there, Simon Miller's promo in front of the audience being a total dick, talking about how he makes more money on YouTube than the whole roster makes with their wrestling. I thought that was pretty funny. And it's probably actually true. And the match, as far as what they did, nothing special, but the crowd made the match. They're singing, they're cheering. The Newcastle crowd was tremendous. I love these guys. Moose and Myers defeat Chris Sabin and Frankie Kazarian. Moose gets another pinfall. So, they're trying to make you forget that he just got pinned at Bound for Glory. Unfortunately for them, they need to know that there's not that many people watching this Turning Point show. And Impact this past week only had 86,000 viewers live. So not that many people are watching Impact right now because they're waiting for TNA to come back. So, but look, at least they're doing the right things and getting him the victories. I thought this was another really good match between, four veterans. Just a good tag team professional wrestling match. I dug it. It's not really anything that you guys need to go out of your way to see if you haven't watched it. So nothing blow away, just a really good match with a really good crowd. And then we go to Impact Knockouts Championship, the co-main event, Trinity defeating Deonna Purrazzo with special referee Gail Kim. My friend Warren Hayes just said in the TNA thread on Voices of Wrestling that he thinks this was the best Trinity match that he's ever seen. And I got to say, I think I agree. Now, I did like Trinity's first match with Purrazzo. I believe it was at Slammiversary. I thought this one was a little bit better. And I like the inclusion of Gail Kim into it. We didn't see a lot of the botches that you get with Trinity because sometimes she's not very fluid with some of her movements, and some of the moves, the transitions get kind of screwy and botched, and she's very formulaic and kind of with some of the stuff that she does. But Deonna Purrazzo is a top class, world class worker. And I thought both ladies looked really, really good. And I thought it was just a really good match. And I liked it. Probably, probably the best match of their series. Now, Deonna Purrazzo doesn't get to challenge Trinity for the championship. I think we all know that Deonna's probably gone. She lost. She's been losing. They've been beating her like a drum since she lost the championship in July. So she's 0-3 against Trinity. She really didn't belong in the match. I think they used the gimmick of her putting her ability to get a title shot on the line is the reason why she got in there. But like I think that's ridiculous. She never should have been in the match unless they're going to give her some wins. I think they need to treat wins with some more respect. So that might just be a Mike thing though. After the match, Peraza and Gail Kim had an altercation, and Gail Kim hit her with the Eat Defeat. I don't know, maybe they set up a match with Gail Kim. I think it would be appropriate to have Gail Kim wrestle on the first night of the new TNA at Hard to Kill, and I think Peraza would be a great opponent for her. And depending on who wins, we could really that might be the very last match that we see Deonna Purrazzo have. So, but what a way to go out. Now we get to the main event, and I gotta say, I insulted Eddie Edwards, or I insulted the weight of Rich Swann, and that's not fat shaming. Okay, these are athletes, and they need to be in shape. They need to take their bodies seriously, and take their career seriously. And I feel like some of these guys in TNA and Impact are resting on their laurels a little bit, and that's why we need a fresh, young, in shape talent to push them to be better. And Eddie Edwards can be as good as his opponent on any given night if he turns up the heat, and we saw that here tonight with Will Ospreay. But I was looking and I was just like, could you imagine if Eddie was in shape, just how much better this match would have been? And the match was already really good. We're talking like we could get like a full 1.25 rating higher if Eddie were in shape and could hang. But it is what it is. It's what we got. And I thought it was a tremendous match. And Will Ospreay is on the run of his life. And I think I saw some people giving it 4 stars. I'd probably go like 4.5 if I did star ratings, which I don't do. But I think that it was a really good match, and boy, was the crowd into this match too. I just love this Newcastle crowd. They were singing all the songs. They were so into Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay and Eddie Edwards have great chemistry. They beat the shit out of each other, just super loud chops, great near falls in the match, great teases. Then of course the last 5 minutes were as good as any, last 5 minutes in any Impact match you're going to see all year, with Will Ospreay getting the victory. Man, did they pop huge for Ospreay hitting the Styles Clash. And I was just thinking, and the huge TNA chant when that happened. And I was thinking, during the speedball match, with the Styles Clash got the huge pop there too. But if that crowd already knew that TNA was coming back, the reaction we would have got, I was just like thinking about that. The reaction we would have gotten had he hit that when the news was already out that that Impact is going back to TNA. What kind of reaction I would have got? Probably similar to this one here in Newcastle. So after the match was over, Ospreay grabbed the microphone. He teased signing with Impact, but said he was just he wanted to make the announcement that he finished his kitchen, which was really nice. Hold on, swig of water for the working man. He finished his kitchen, but he said that no matter what happens in February, he grew up as a TNA kid. He'll always be a TNA kid, and then he hopes that the new TNA will create more TNA kids. And so it kind of seemed like it was a little bit of a finality, kind of like almost a goodbye. Which makes sense. Although I do think, Impact, they got Hard to Kill, and then they have a taping the night after. I don't know that he goes to Hard to Kill. Obviously that would be the best place for him to have his last TNA match, but New Japan has a show in San Jose that same night. So New Japan might not let him work the TNA show head to head with them. And their show is going to be live on Fight TV too. So they're going to have pay-per-views going head to head. So that's going to be a little bit tricky considering that they're partners. But maybe they do get him. But if not, I could see them getting him for the debut of TNA Impact, a Wrestling Impact, on Access TV, getting him for that debut and getting one last match at the TNA taping where they tape January 14th. It's called Snake Eyes. So they're doing their tapings at the Pearl at the Palms the very next night. I could see them getting him for that, and that would be cool if they could not get him for Hard to Kill. But look, New Japan's weird. They might just let him work Hard to Kill, even going head to head with their own stuff, because they're not really expecting people to actually buy their New Japan like US shows on Fight. They sell them on Fight, getting a little bit of money, but ultimately it's for New Japan World later, and they use it for New Japan on Access. They actually cut it up, and then they show a lot of the stuff for the Access show. So I don't know what they're going to do. It's going to be interesting. But I really enjoyed this Turning Point show, again, despite the shoddy production. It was very much like being at a UK house show, which I think is cool. There wasn't, I don't remember there ever being a screwy finish or and there was no interference during the whole show. They didn't do any of that. Again, it's just matches for the sake of matches. There's no real storylines involved. So it was just kind of a fun show to watch. So if you got a good 2 hours and 40 minutes to watch, and you just need some good wrestling, you'll get that here. If there's one match to watch, I would say watch Ospreay versus Eddie. Is it going to be as good? It's not as good as the Speedball match. Very likely not as good as his Josh Alexander match that we're going to see on November 16th on Access. Probably not as good as the Shota Umino match that just came out last night, which I have yet to watch. I'm going to be watching hopefully later today. But it's a really good Will Ospreay match. And I think it's worth everybody going out of the way to see, especially because you're going to get that great crowd reaction that they had there in Newcastle. So again, a fun show. I like these UK shows. I wish they had better production. I wish storylines were involved, but again, it's the lame duck Impact Wrestling period. So it is what it is. That's what we're going to get. But we got a big Impact on Access coming up this week with Alex Shelley versus Jonathan Gresham. And then the following week, we got Will Ospreay versus Josh Alexander. And those are going to be like the two last well-produced episodes of Impact for the year. And then the rest of the year is going to be like, I will probably see some other stuff from Mexico. And then I think we're going to get an IPWF on Thanksgiving, or maybe they're going to record that for Christmas week. I don't know what they're going to do. So, so after these next two episodes, there's not really going to be much to talk about with Impact as we start to enter the TNA era in January. So, it's going to be fun, man. Good stuff though. I was really happy I watched this. So, thank you guys for joining me. Thank you for being a Patreon subscriber. And there's going to be some folks watching this on YouTube. I'm probably going to release this a little bit later on YouTube, maybe on Monday. So, thank you guys for joining me. And until next time, mahalo.